Good evening and welcome to Chapel Hill for a big night of ACC gymnastics between the Pittsburgh Panthers and the 13th ranked North Carolina Tar Heels. Thank you for joining us. Welcome inside of Carmichael Arena. I'm Olivia Mundorf, joined by Rachel Garland, the former NC State gymnast. And Rachel, this is going to be a great night of competition. Two teams looking for their first ACC win of the season.
Yeah, both teams so far have had some really strong competition. They came off ACC openers last weekend, both of them taking home the loss. So this week they're out for redemption, but only one team will come out ahead.
That's right. Both teams, though, have a good mixture of some veteran talent and some newcomers that they rely on in their lineups. And for Pittsburgh, one gymnast they are happy to have back is Hallie Copperwheat.
Oh my goodness, Hallie has been a standout for this team since the beginning, but she is coming off of a redshirt year, which is always a little bit challenging. She's done so with ease, and we're going to see her on 3 events tonight.
And for UNC, they have a star freshman in Sydney Seabrooks. She was named the ACC Specialist of the Week. Back-to-back 995s for Seabrooks in the anchor spot of this floor lineup.
She competes like she is a veteran. Coming in as a freshman, that is so hard, but she knows she is better when the team is behind her, and she's really all about putting on a team performance, taking that individualized sport out of gymnastics.
Now we'll take a look at a couple other stars to watch tonight. For UNC, Gwen Fink, she is their big all-arounder and one of the most consistent competitors we're going to see tonight.
Absolutely. We talked to their head coach ahead of time, and this preseason has been the best one yet, which is exactly why she's in that all-around spot. Now the goal is how can we keep her strong and how can we keep her healthy throughout the rest of the season. And
for Pitt, Cameron Chu, she has kept her consistency from her freshman season to her sophomore season. She's so important for Pitt.
Absolutely. Such a nice line, super clean, very artistic, very elegant gymnastics, and we're going to see her a couple of times. I'm so excited to watch her tonight.
We'll now take a look at both coaches. For Carolina, Dana Durante, she's in her 5th season here at North Carolina, and she's really prided herself on building up the culture of this program.
She has done a fantastic job, and one thing that you can just notice with this team is they are such a cohesive unit. The seniors have really stepped up into some of those leadership roles. The freshmen have come in and really made a huge impact, and you just feel the energy within the team overall.
A great atmosphere tonight. A tough place to come in for Pitt. Well, their head coach, Casey Jo McPherson, in her 3rd season.
Casey Jo's theory, just since she has started, is one day better and compete with gratitude, making sure that all of the gymnasts that are on the floor really know that they have the opportunity to go out and represent not only their school, but them as a gymnastics team. And she just wants to make sure that they continue to improve time and time again every time they set foot on the floor.
Rotation 1 about to be underway. We'll take a look at the lineups here. UNC will start on vault and Pitt will start on bars. Leading things off for Carolina, Ellie King, the junior from Texas.
So Ellie's going to start with a lay out your chingo full. That's the vault that we're going to see the majority of the gymnasts do tonight. Great body position in the air, really good height, just a hop on the landing. We'll take a look at this replay. So really dynamic. You see that block off the table, gives her a bunch of air time. Stays straight throughout, and again, and just those hops on the landings. That's one thing that both head coaches hit on ahead of time, is they need to focus on the landings.
They did. It's all about the little things right now. We'll turn over to bars. For Pitt in the leadoff spot, Kennedy Duke. She had a 9.75 on this event last week.
Kennedy Duke's been a phenomenal person in this leadoff spot. You're really looking for someone to come in and be extremely consistent. Starts with a great combination, back down to the low bar, feet glued together so far. Handstand a little bit short on top of the bar, going for that double tuck dismount and just that little step on the landing.
A good start for Pitt. That leadoff spot, so important. Here's another look at that dismount.
Head coach Casey Jo said in the first couple meets, they've slowly increased those sticks overall. You can see it little by little. She just wants them to put it all together in one meet.
It looks like a little bit of a lineup change here for Carolina. This is Nev King, the twin sister of Ellie King, from the leadoff spot.
Nev originally in the exhibition spot, so moving into the lineup.
And this is her first time in the vault lineup this season.
Full, very similar to what her twin sister just did, that hop on the landing. But again, great amplitude, great dynamics overall, and then just that hop towards the end. So 2 great starts for the Tar Heels on vault.
As we head back over to bars, Cameron Chu, we talked about her a little bit at the top of the broadcast. She's just been so consistent for this Pittsburgh team. That's something that they really rely on all 4 events, but in her role on bars and beam especially.
Absolutely. You can see there her average so far already a 9.8, and that's one of those scores the team is dependent on, making sure that they can count. Out of the 6 gymnasts that compete, those top 5 scores are the ones that get counted.
And her coach told us she just has such clean lines, elegant, beautiful gymnastics. We'll see that on display in this routine.
So mounting straight up to the high bar, getting ready for a big release move. Huge straddle Jaeger, catches way above the bar on that one, hits the handstands. Nice overshoot handstand down to the low bar. Again, you see those clean lines that they were talking about. Legs are glued together, toes are pointed. Just let's go a little bit early on that double back dismount, has to take a small step forward, but landed with her chest down as well.
We'll take another look here at the release, way on top of the bar.
This dismount's gonna be her biggest deduction. She just lets go a little bit early and lands with her chest down, which forces her to take that step on the landing. That one's probably gonna be a 2/10 step overall as well.
Next up for Carolina on the vault, Paige Prejean. Last week, a big 9.8. She's been reliable in the vault lineup for Carolina so far this season.
She really has. Such fun to watch. We've talked about the dynamics, and she can really fly. Just the smallest of scoots on the landing. Again, those landings, especially when you have a vault that starts from a 9.5 instead of a 10.0. You really need to nail in on those little details.
Both coaches talked a lot on our calls earlier this morning about the landings and just doing all of the little things right, especially at this point in the season. There's a couple meets under their belt, so they're trying to make sure that they get all those details as they head in through ACC competition.
And those layout Yurchenko fulls on vault only start from that 9.5 start value instead of a 10.0. So every little hop, even though it's only a 0.5 or a 10th, that can really be the make it or break it when it comes to the end of season on who makes it to postseason and who doesn't.
Absolutely. Back to bars for Pitt.
Next on the bars for Pitt, Julie Matzo.
Julie Matzo, this is her first time in the lineup on bars for the Panthers this season.
So starts with a shapash up to the high bar with that immediate overshoot handstand down to the low bar. A lot of times we don't see those go to handstand. Great handstand on top of the bar, and then a toe hand into a toe pike half dismount. Almost has that landing. She was really fighting for it. Just has to take a small step. Here's that overshoot to the handstand. Really holds it.
Here's another look at that dismount. Again, just the landing, chest down a little bit
close
there. Now Sydney Seabrooks for the Tar Heels. We also talked about her earlier on the broadcast. She's been a standout freshman, and she's great on floor, but they're trying to get her to be impressive on all 4 events for Carolina.
And we'll get to see her a number of times tonight. Another huge layout Yurchenko full. Again, just that hop on the landing. Very consistent. The body shapes, the straight lines, the height, the dynamics. This Carolina team has these Yurchenko fulls down to the technicalities. They've just got to be able to land them.
Coach Durant, he told us she has such a big personality, and she's been such a great addition to this team in that way. Up next for Pitt on the bars, Jamie Pratt. She's really good for them on this event. Her career high is a 9.9, so she could put up a pretty big score here for the Panthers.
She really can. Unfortunately, she had a fall last week on this event, so I know she's out looking for redemption. Just waiting for that score to come in, and she can head up to the high bar. A big ray to start off, catches that so cleanly. Into that overshoot down to the low bar, followed by an immediate toe hand, which is, again, a combination you don't see very often. A little short on that final handstand going into her dismount. But a nice double layout and just a little bit of a scooch on the landing. Here's that ray again at the top of the routine. Really turns it over, great connection. And then this gorgeous double layout, legs glued together, knew right where she was at, just had a little bit too much rotation and takes that small scooch back. But that's gonna be a really strong score for the Pitt team on bars.
Coming up for Carolina, JoJo Valahovic. She's one of their best in the vault lineup. She competes at Yurchenko 1.5, so she will have that 10-0 start value.
Absolutely, and she nailed this a couple of times in warm-ups, just stuck it cold just like she did last week in competition. So I know she's gonna go for it again.
She had a great freshman season for UNC, looking to continue to build off of that as a sophomore here.
It's always nice to get that freshman season kind of out of the way. You've got to learn a lot as a freshman coming in from, again, an individualized sport and working as a team, but also balancing a new schedule and just the way that collegiate gymnastics works overall. So big expectations for JoJo this season. So good, she's gonna do a Yurchenko 1.5. So from the 3 prior ones, we're gonna see an extra half turn in this, and she's gonna land facing away from that vault table. So it's a blind landing, meaning she cannot see where her feet are gonna be landing. She tries so hard. What a great 1.5 Yurchenko there. Just has to take the smallest of little, again, scooches of her feet. I don't even think it was a hop.
She was really going for that stick, just moves her feet barely. That will be a deduction, but a big 1.5 for JoJo.
So again, the first 10-0 vault that we have seen out of the Tar Heel team.
Here's Emily Todd for the Panthers. Again, their lowest score right now, that 9.625. They will drop one of the lowest. 5 will count.
So great Jaeger to start. Nice overshoot to a handstand. Sometimes called a bail to a handstand. Each gymnast has to have 2 release moves in their bar routine. And then does a huge full in. Again, just that step on the landing. A step on a landing, it might not seem like a lot, but if you take a 0.5 to 1/10 on every single routine, they can put themselves down a 1/2 of a point, which is a fall overall.
Coming up in the anchor spot for North Carolina, Kaya Forbes. She's a senior. She's a key piece of this Carolina team, especially on the vault.
She's gonna do another layout Yurchenko full, but this one is sky high typically.
Last week, a 9.875 for Kaya on vault.
So again, that Yurchenko full, but she gets the landing. I don't think her toes actually came up, so I would count that as a stick.
We'll take another look at that vault.
So this is from up above. You can see she's able to flare out at the end to make sure that she doesn't rotate. A side look where she gets the height, maybe bounces in place. It'll be interesting to see what the judges do with that. You see JoJo's score coming in there, a 9.9 again.
That ties JoJo's career high of a 9.9. And now on bars for Pitt, Hallie Copperwheat in the anchor spot. Last meet, a 9.7 for Hallie on this event.
And this first release move, just watch how the height on this. Absolutely amazing how high she catches that above the bar. Gorgeous Jaeger, toe hand into an overshoot handstand down to the low bar. A little short on that last handstand before her dismount, but she's gonna do a big one here. Another full in and gets the stick.
She gets the landing. Her team celebrating big.
So this release, you're gonna be able to see how high above the bar she catches. Just absolutely huge. Maybe a little bit close on that, some bent elbows if I'm being really nitpicky. But then she's got this full in and just nails that landing.
And that should be a big score for Pitt. That's what you want to see in your anchor spot. Now we'll see Gwen Fink. She was originally in the lineup for Carolina. They made that last minute switch, but now she's in the exhibition for the Tar Heels.
She also typically does a 10-0 start value. So we'll see that layout Yurchenko 1.5.
Very nice vault for Gwen. Again, that won't count towards their team score on vault.
And that's one thing that Coach Durante talked about, was she wants to be 10 deep on each of these events so that she can maneuver in whoever has the best warm-up. And you can see by the scores there that I'm sure it was a tough last-minute decision, but a great job by Gwen Fink for that layout Yurchenko 1.5.
She did. She told us earlier they have more depth than they've ever had, and it's really about who are the best six today, not who are the best six typically. So exciting to obviously see Gwen get a chance in the exhibition there and make that last-minute lineup change with some good scores for Carolina in that first rotation.
Got an exhibition on the uneven bars for Pitt as well. Layla Green, a nice Van Leeuwen into a straddle back handstand, which you don't see very often, a very unique combination in collegiate gymnastics. Really gets that handstand on top of the bar before her dismount and a full pirouette into a double tug. Again, just those little hops on the landings that I know they're gonna go back and continue working on.
Small hop on that dismount. UNC leads here. Rachel, what did you like in that first rotation?
I really like just that they seem to be competing with a comfort around them. Both head coaches just wanted them to go out and do what they do in practice. And I think you could really see that on rotation number 1. Bars very swingful, vault really dynamic. Again, just working on those landings overall.
That does it for the first rotation. UNC coming up on bars and Pitt on vault. she told us on the call this morning she has worked hard to build the culture of this program in North Carolina. We'll hear from her and her coaching staff on what it means to be part of this program and the pride they have in representing Carolina.
What sets Carolina Gymnastics apart is our staff. We balance each other out extremely well. We all have different strengths and we bring that to the table every day.
Our program is what we say it is, and that's exciting. And I think there's a lot of great transparency and a lot of great communication in what we're doing and a lot of great follow through of what we believe in and going after.
It is the authenticity of the people here. It is the pride in Carolina, and not just the athletic side or just the academic side, but the pride in just Carolina as a university. And to put on that Carolina blue, there is so much pride, but care and passion in all of it.
We love to just be together and do what we do. We all have the same goals, but I think even outside of gymnastics, we're all striving to excel in our sports, but also academically. And so I think kind of being able to all work together to push Carolina to be its very best in all aspects.
Coming up next, rotation 2, the Panthers will head to the vault and the Tar Heels will move over to the bars. Back to Carmichael Arena in Chapel Hill. Rotation 1 in the books, North Carolina, a 49.275. For Pitt, 48.75. We'll take a look back at some of the highlights from this first rotation. For Carolina on the vault, Jojo Valahovic, the big Yurchenko 1.5.
Yeah, absolutely huge. She got some fantastic height, distance from the table on that one. And again, just that little scooch of the landing. She nailed it in warm-up. She nailed it last weekend, so I know she was going for that one again.
And Hallie Copperwheat for the Panthers. She did nail the landing on this bar routine.
Absolutely.
In the anchor spot.
You see there that huge Jaeger release move, and then this amazing full in just drops it right into that, holds the landing position, and she knows that's going to be a big score.
As we move into rotation 2, the Panthers will be on the vault. Carolina will move to the bars. We'll take a look here at our lineups. One thing to note for Carolina, Sydney Seabrooks in the bars lineup this week. She hasn't competed on that event yet this year.
Yeah, phenomenal job. We watched her in warm-ups, we watched her in touch, and I'm so excited for her to put this in the competition. We're gonna see a lot of her tonight, and I'm so excited for her to make her bars debut along with some of these other events.
She has certainly been the headlining freshman of this program. When we talked to her coach earlier, she told us she just has so much performance confidence, and she wants her to be that glue that has kind of brought the team together, whether it's the upperclassmen, those in her class, and she's done a good job of that so far.
Absolutely. High energy, gives everything every day, which is really hard to bring. You're balancing a new schedule, a new location, classes, and just everything that comes with being a college student.
Layla Bobek will start things off for Pitt, another impressive freshman in the ACC.
Yeah, she has done a phenomenal job. One thing we're going to see out of this pit team, everyone does a layout Yurchenko full, so they're really going to hone in on those landings. You saw some great distance from the table and just the tiniest of movement of her feet.
We'll take another look at her vault here. Again, just a slight hop on the landing.
Overall, great body position. She got some really good distance. I would have liked to see it go up in the air, get a little bit more height on that vault. So she might get a little bit of a deduction for that, but the overall, a really strong start.
On bars for the Tar Heels, Nev King, the junior. She's been pretty steady in this leadoff spot for Carolina so far this season.
She really has, and you want this person to really set the pace, set the momentum of any lineup, really, especially bar. She does this nice stalder into a double back dismount. Just opens up a little bit soon. I think she could have stuck that, but opened up and ended up having to take that step forward.
We'll take another look at that dismount here.
So there's that stalder, double back above the bar. I think if she would have just held on a smidge longer, she wouldn't have needed that step. But overall, a great leadoff routine for the Tar Heels.
Moving back over to vault, Mackenzie Grant for pit. Last week, she had her career high of a 9.725 on this event.
Yeah, really solid, again, I don't want to call them routines on vault, really solid vaults overall for this group of individuals. And again, just really working on all those nitpicky things that are going to really be able to move them into the postseason. So again, another layout Yurchenko full starting from that 9.95 start value.
You see Lila Bobek's score of a 9.775 came in, and just a small hop again on that landing.
And vault is one of those events where you've got all this forward momentum from running down the vault runway that you then have to block, is what they call it, up into the air and stop your rotation. So those steps backwards, those hops backwards are a natural movement because it is really difficult to stop a full speed sprint straight ahead.
And here we go for Carolina, Sydney Seabrooks, the freshman from Clearwater, Florida, for the first time on bars for the Tar Heels.
Making her bars debut, but again, she warmed up beautifully on this event. Let's see if she can put it into the competition. She's going to mount with a toe hand connected to a chapache. Immediate pack salto down to the low bar. Fantastic so far. A nice half pirouette as she moves back up to the high bar, getting up for his dismount. Nice handstand. And a huge double layout, just a hop on the landing. But overall, I'm going to say that was a fantastic debut out of Sydney on the uneven bars.
We'll take another look at that dismount here.
Toes glued together, just has a little bit too much power, a little bit too much rotation, and slides backwards.
2.9775 for pit. Another Yurchenko full, chest down just a little bit on that landing.
Yeah, exactly what you said. So great height, great dynamics, really going for that stick. That's what the team has to do. So we'll take a couple looks here. A little bit of a pike down on that one. You could see she was preparing for the landing and actually breaks at the hip a little bit, which causes her to keep that chest down, and then she has to move that hop forward.
For Carolina, Nev King's score of a 9.675, waiting on Sydney Seabrooks' score, but Claire Stipich will be next for the Tar Heels. She's been a staple in the bar lineup since she got to Carolina, the transfer from Kentucky.
Yeah, again, another phenomenal routine to watch. Watching this bar team warm up was fantastic. Just, again, they've just got to put it together. The competition, as soon as that judge raises the green flag, there's something in that mental component that they just have to overcome. And again, really focused on those landings on the dismounts.
We know bars was a little bit rocky last week for Carolina, and that's something that they want to focus on as an opportunity to keep growing throughout this season.
Yeah, this is the event that they have the most room for improvement on, but that was a huge Jaeger into a bail down to the low bar. So far, so good, really clean lines. giants into a double layout dismount, and again, just another one of those tiniest of hops on the landing.
We'll take one more look at that release here.
So a huge Jaeger catches way above the bar into that bail or overshoot down to the low bar. Immediate combination, double layout, legs apart just a little bit, but we have that straight on angle, whereas the judges might not be able to see that where they sit on the side.
Kennedy Duke up for Pitt. We saw her on bars. Here she is on vault. Another Yurchenko full, a small hop again.
It's almost like wash, rinse, repeat with this team. But again, that's what they're training. It's a really safe collegiate vault. This Yurchenko full is the majority of what collegiate athletes do. And you just have to work on doing it perfect every single time.
And it is still early in the season, only the third competition for both of these teams. So just getting out there, putting everything on the competition floor, they still have some time to work on those landings and the little things as the season progresses.
They absolutely do.
Up next for Carolina on bars, another star freshman, Anna Pearl Stanley. She's been competing on this event for Carolina and has a career high of a 9.825, so the potential for another big score here for the Tar Heels.
And again, this Tar Heel team, they lost 4 seniors after last year, and so we've got a lot of new faces. They're working on getting into lineup, working on some of this consistency overall, and they're only going to build. Another toe hand shapash up to the high bar. Immediate pack salto. Again, another very good combination in college gymnastics. Maybe a little bit short on that dismount, or the handstand before her dismount. A nice double layout, and again, just that step on the landing. Handstand on the high bar. Again, maybe a little bit short. They are given a 10-degree window that they can count it in, that the judges don't take any deduction. Our angles are always a little bit different. Then you see just that littlest of steps on the landing.
Another Yurchenko full for Pitt. A slight movement on the landing, but much closer to the stick, it seems like, on that one.
Yeah, I'd agree with that one from Olivia. Really straight lines, doesn't pike down. Maybe the smallest of leg separations getting ready for that landing, and then just that half of a scooch in, almost in the same spot.
And you can see for Pitt, 3.9775. So along with the consistencies in the vault, you're seeing that same consistencies in the scoring.
And week to week, that's about where they were at last week, maybe up a quarter of a tenth, a half a tenth on some of the vaults, but overall just trying to make those small little improvements week over week.
Her teammate giving her a little pep talk there, and Paige Prejean is next for the Tar Heels.
She fell in competition last week, but nailed everything in warm-up. She's got a huge Tkachev right at the top of the routine. And given the veteran status, she can definitely nail some of these landings. So again, this Tkachev right at the beginning. She is going to fly high. Just absolutely huge into an immediate pack salto. Catches a little bit close, but again, veteran status, she's able to work right out of that. Gorgeous handstand right on top of the bar. And then a blind change into a double front, and just that step on the landing. Those blind landings are so difficult. You really have to have some good air awareness to know exactly where you're at.
We'll take another look here at the big release. Flies way over the bar.
Absolutely huge. That might be one of the highest ones in college gymnastics.
You heard a lot of oohs and ahs here in Carmichael with that, and then the dismount, again, just a small step, but overall a good routine for Paige. Layla Green up for Pitt on the vaults.
And again, another really solid, really strong layout Yurchenko full. No movement of the body, which is one thing that they're really going to be looking for. Some great height and dynamics, and stays really straight the entire way.
It looks like Gwen Fink getting ready to go in the anchor spot of this bar's lineup. You see her average there, a 9.85. Her career high of a 9.9.
And this is just a gorgeous bar routine to watch. Her legs are glued together the entire time. She has a really clean line from her hands all the way to her toe point.
Next on the bars for the Tar
We talked
Heels,
with her coach earlier just about her growth at her time throughout Carolina, just how far she's come as a freshman. She's become more vocal, stepped up really as a leader for this team, and she had her best and most complete preseason, and that's really what they attribute a lot of this early season success to for Gwen.
Absolutely, and one thing that I love, we talked about Sydney a little bit earlier, but they're big sis, little sis to each other, so almost this buddy program. And the two of them together, Coach Durante just said, it has been great because they've really brought out the best in each other. So she's going to mount straight up to the high bar. Starts with a really big Jaeger, catches way above the bar. Nice handstand, overshoot down to the low bar, perfect handstand. Again, legs glued together. So she's going to finish with a big dismount. Again, she nailed it in warm-ups, and she nails it again. A huge double layout, almost like the exclamation point on the end of that routine.
That is exactly what you want to see from your senior in the anchor spot. You see the big release there.
Catches that almost perfectly, arms straight, double out. Again, we can see the leg separation, but from the side angle that those judges have, they might not be able to see that her legs separate just a little bit.
A big score surely coming for Gwen Fink. What stood out to you in that second rotation?
I really like the consistency of Pitt's overall Yurchenko fulls. Yes, they were all the exact same vault, but based on the scores, they're trained the same, and they know they need to work on those landings. But overall, great job there. And then UNC putting in some newcomers, the freshmen really stepping up. Loved seeing Sydney in there with her bar debut, and then that gorgeous routine from Gwen at the end.
We will head to rotation 3 when we come back here in Carmichael Arena. Of the season when Carolina traveled to compete in Florida and started program history.
The North Carolina team with lofty expectations, the 24 team in the country. A lot of excitement, their highest ranking to start the season since 2007.
Huge release move. Great bar routine for North Carolina. Huge release move. That was a great routine. Stuck landing. They're happy with that one.
North Carolina will be on the beam.
Looking like perfection so far. So solid. Love those finishes. Nails the landing. Great routine. Finishing up this floor routine with a double tuck. Beautifully done. Great routine for the senior.
Sydney Seabrook set to take the floor.
Huge double pike. Love her energy and showmanship. Another great pass. Wow. Great ending floor routine.
Tar Heels fired up.
Very impressive from the freshman.
North Carolina on the vault.
1.5. Nails the landing. Wow. That is going to be a big score. Huge vault from Forbes. So much height. That is a high opening team score.
Now it's time to announce our individual event winners. For the vault, from the University of North Carolina, Kayla Forbes. On the floor routine, from the University of North Carolina, Sydney Seabrook. With a score of 39.475, your all-around winner. From the University of North Carolina, Gwen Fink.
A lot for Dana Durante to be happy about in that opening meet, and she told us they're just getting started. Coming up next, we'll head to rotation 3, where Pitt will be on the floor and UNC will be on beam.
Yurchenko pulls out of the team, and you could really start to see those small little differences, but she had some fantastic dynamics, just that little hop on at the landing.
And then the big finish for Carolina, Gwen Fink, a 9.85 for Gwen.
Absolutely, you saw that huge Jaeger at the beginning there, and just the stuck landing on the double layout, the exclamation point at the end of that routine.
We will get started here in the third rotation. Carolina will be on beam. Pittsburgh will head to floor. And we'll see Sydney Seabrooks again in the leadoff spot for Carolina. We've talked so much about her tonight, but just an incredible start to her freshman year and just the transition from club to college gymnastics.
And this is actually a really difficult spot to be in. A lot of times for this leadoff person on balance beam, you want somebody that's is going to go out there and hit that routine. And as a freshman, that's a lot to be put in that. I think that's very respectful of the coaches and what they think of her just in her gymnastics overall.
And they told us she's just an incredible teammate. She loves, obviously, to have that attention, but she wants it to be spread throughout her team. And she's shown that, I think, in the first couple weeks of competition.
She really has. We touched on it at the top of the broadcast that she competes like a veteran. A huge back handspring layout step out. Absolutely no movement on that. So you're taking some deep breaths, just hoping to calm some of the nerves. Cat leap into a switch side. Some great combinations so far. Great front toss into a beat jump. Again, all these little combinations are actually adding bonus 10. So the gymnasts don't actually start from a 10.0 on these routines. They have to create combinations in order to get that. And she nails the landing, that back handspring to a 1.5 twist. Stuck like glue.
What a start for Carolina on the beam. We'll take another look at that dismount.
I love this routine. It was quick up, quick down, not a lot of room to take those deductions. The feet, you could see right at the end, they may have crossed a little bit, but in real time and with the way the judges are judging, I would give that, I don't think there was a deduction on that.
Last week, she had a 9.8. That's her career high on that event, so we'll wait for her score to come in. As we head to the floor for Pitt, Mally Morgan will lead off for the Panthers.
And this Pitt team has some really great choreography, just a lot of fun to watch overall. And you can tell they love showing off. So Mally opens with a front layout full to a front layout, great double salto combination pass.
can see she's having so much fun out there. Her teammates doing all the choreography in the background.
Their head coach, Casey Joe, said they've got this performance quality about them. They love it. They're very diverse, and they love to have fun. So nice front layout into a Rudy, which is a front layout with a 1.5 twist there at the end. So clearly a very strong front tumbler. This wolf turn. So far, so good. Great leap past that switch leap into a tourjete half. So a really great lead off for this pit team, and Coach Casey Joe told us about the dancing as well. They said this team loves to have dance parties.
They love to celebrate, and that was a great routine to start off their floor lineup. We will head back to the beam for Carolina. Nev King, we've seen her a lot tonight as well for the Tar Heels. Last week, a 9.85 on beam for Nev, so she's capable of putting up a big score. You see Sydney Seabrooks, a 9.875. That's a new career high for her.
Nev, just some really clean lines, great flexibility and toe point. Excellent back handspring layout step out. If I'm being really picky, I did see some slightly bent leg, maybe a loose leg, not necessarily bent, but just not perfectly locked out. But those are the little things that those judges' eyes are trained to see. So switch leap into a split jump 3/4. These beam routines all have different criteria that they've got to meet. And going down close to the beam is one of those composition pieces they have to hit. A nice round off 1.5 dismount with just that step on the landing.
We'll take another look here at her flight series.
And if you watch closely, you may be able to see the knees just not quite locked out. But really pulls it up at the end so that she doesn't have any wobble execution.
A good start for Carolina on the beam. For Pitt on the floor now, Maddie Bell. You see her floor average there, a 9.75.
Pitt has some really fun routines. I watched them all in warm-up, and I'm really excited to see how they can perform them under the lights. A nice combination pass, that 1.5 into a layout step out.
She's been another key freshman for this Pitt team. They're returning 11 gymnasts from last year, but 6 newcomers, and they're used a lot throughout all of their lineups on each event. So Casey Joe telling us on the call earlier, they want to get their freshmen out there and get them in the competition setting because it is a little bit different than when you're in training.
The only way to get that experience is to go get it. And they are all put in the lineups in different spots, which is great. See the whole team doing the routine in the background. So not only do they know their floor routine, but they also know sometimes 6, 8, 10 other floor routines. They're just glad they don't have to do the tumbling in between.
Floor is the best opportunity, though, to showcase that personality, and that's something that Pitt really prides themselves on.
Nice double back at the end. Almost looked like she landed with her chest a little bit down, but popped up really quickly that you couldn't even tell.
We'll take a look here at both of her tumbling passes.
So this 1.5 into the immediate layout step out really turns that over, well executed on that. And then finishes with this double tuck, pops right up there at the end.
Good recovery on that landing. Here's Claire Sipic from Wisconsin. She did transfer to Carolina from Kentucky.
So little bobble there on the full turn. That is one of those moves that I think every gymnast would probably get rid of if they possibly could, but it has been in the beam routine criteria for the longest of time. A nice triple series, which we don't see very often at back handspring, layout, step out.
This is also her first time in the lineup on beam for the Tar Heels this season.
Switch lead to a straddle jump combination. She looks very calm, very confident.
Sometimes the beam can be a little scary. It's only 4 inches. I think people forget that's about the width of your phone.
And then a back handspring into a gainer full off the side, sticks the landing. So a great routine from Claire.
Another look here at that triple flight series. You don't see it often.
She almost looked like she was a little bit crooked, but pulls it back on right there at the end. And then that gainer full off the side, nails the landing, and a great routine out of Claire.
We've been talking about those landings all night. They are so important, and she had a great dismount there to end that routine. Hallie Copperwheat up for the Panthers. Another person we've been talking about all night, and she's been big coming back off of her redshirt season. That's so hard to do. She wants to enjoy this season because she didn't get to have it last year.
It is great that they are capable to do that, to take a redshirt season. She competed, I think, 3 meets and then ended up redshirting the rest of the season. But being able to go out there and just really enjoy your senior year, kind of take it all in, take it 1 meet at a time and really enjoy that experience.
Her coach told us she's really one of the leaders for this team. Of course, off the floor, but she's such a strong competitor and looking better than ever.
Super excited to see this floor routine. She's got some really fantastic tumbling and some great artistry as well.
She wasn't in the floor lineup last week, but she did score a 9-8 in their opening meet of the season.
She's definitely a performer. I feel like that's one thing you can tell from the freshmen as you watch them throughout their career on a lot of these events, but particularly floor. And we'll see that with some of the Carolina gymnasts as well. From their freshman to their senior year, their performance just becomes so much better. So great front full into a front layout to open her routine. Every floor routine has to have what they call a double salto pass, so a tumbling pass that has 2 flips in it without their hands. You see a lot of those on the front tumbling combinations. Big double back at the end, lands perfectly upright. Actually doing a 3 tumbling pass routine, which is almost uncommon in collegiate gymnastics now, a double pike. A little bit short on that one, but able to hold on.
A clean routine for Hallie. Her coach told us that's one of their focuses, to have clean gymnastics, go out there, hit their routines. This is a great example of that.
So nice 1.5 into the front layout. And then here's the double pike. You'll see right at the end, she's just a little short. May sting those ankles just a little bit, but she was able to hold on and stand up out of that.
Just a little on those short landings. Up next for beam on Carolina, Jessica Naranjo, a staple in this beam lineup, and she has been her entire career here in Chapel Hill.
Great combination, that front aerial into the layout step out. I love seeing some of these more unique combinations. For the longest time, it was only the back handspring layout step out, which we still see a lot of because it's clean and collegiate gymnastics is about being perfect. But I do like some of the uniqueness in some other combinations that we see. So again, another one up and off the beam with that back handspring, 1.5 dismount.
We'll take another look here at that unique series.
So you can see the front layout step out into the immediate back layout step out. And just nails it. And then her dismount. Almost holds on. I don't know if the judges will give that one a stick. That's what I would call the old college stick, where they don't quite hold it and they try to move it. There are rules now around you have to hold that for at least 1 full second before saluting. So maybe a 0.5 on that landing.
Next
Next
on the floor for Pitt.
on the floor for Pitt, Jamie Pratt. Last week, a 9.825 on this event. You see the score for Hallie Copperwheat just came in a 9.675. A little bit lower than maybe what they would have wanted there, but again, you'll drop one of those, the lowest scores.
I have a feeling a lot of that came on the landing of that last tumbling pass, but this one is a little bit unique from Pratt, a front lay to a front double full. She does it. She makes it look so easy. Those front double fulls are really difficult. They're rated an E in gymnastics, so the skills are gone. They go from A being the easiest to E being the hardest, and that's one of the hardest.
It's another element you don't see that often, and you want to try to get those E elements in when you can, because that only helps your start value, which in return will help your score.
Definitely, the gymnasts have to get that start value up to a 10 from a 9.4, so combinations like that are going to give them some of those added bonus tenths. So nice 1.5 into a front layout. Again, a totally different style than we've seen from some of the other gymnasts on this team.
Another solid routine for Pitt. We'll take another look here. That first opening pass to the double front full.
And you saw how that second flip was higher than the first flip. That's something that the judges look for as well. Nice 1.5 into that front layout step out.
Up next for Carolina on the beam, JoJo Valahovic. We saw her with a big score on vault. She's also been consistent in the beam lineup for Carolina. Last week, a 9.85, a career high 9.95 for JoJo.
Really solid. She's going to do a back handspring layout step out. And typically just absolutely nails it. Oh,
Little bubble there.
I teased her on that one. I did. In the warm-up, she hit layout step out after layout step out. Just a little bit crooked on that one. Takes a small wobble, but pulls it back. Great leap combination.
JoJo had a great freshman year for Carolina. This year, obviously, in a little bit of a different role, but her coach told us, you know, she's just so important to this team. You see a great dismount there to end that one off.
Absolutely, a stuck round off 1.5. We're going to take a look at this back handspring layout step out. She looks straight, and then as she pulls up, you see that shoulder just dip down on the side, and she's got to take a little wobble to get that back on. But finishes off strong and nails the landing. Really sinks into it, kind of waits for it to come back so that she doesn't take that step. So a great finish out of JoJo on her beam routine.
Next on the floor for Pitt, Mika Lee.
We'll head back to floor for Pitt, Mika Lee. She's in her sophomore season with the Panthers, and as a freshman, she competed in the beam and floor lineup in every meet. So she's a consistent piece for this team, and she typically has a great floor routine.
She's got some really good tumbling passes as well. She's going to start with another front double, that E pass that we were talking about. Front handspring, front double, just takes that step at the end, which they are allowed on floor. They can take the lunge into and out of it. the thing the judges are looking for is they want it to be a controlled landing, almost the question of did they have to take the step or did they need to take the step? And that's a lot of times where that deduction can come in.
Another gymnast for Pitt with just such great lines, pointed feet, so elegant out there, and you see that even in her choreography in this routine.
Again, very unique choreography overall, but it really is able to fill out and fit the personality of each gymnast. So this one, she's gonna do a whip half into a Rudy, which is a 1.5 twist. And nails that one. You could tell on that one, she didn't need to take the step. She wanted to take the step. A lot of times out of habit.
Unique element too, the whip half, you don't see that often.
You really don't, and she makes that twist. She twisted so fast, it was almost hard to count the 1.5.
We'll take a look back at both of those tumbling passes. Again, the E value double front in the beginning.
And then here's that whip path into a front 1.5 called a Rudy with the lunge at the end. So a great routine.
Gwen Fink in the anchor spot on beam for Carolina. She's great on beam. She's great on all the events, and we saw that on bars, but she really has been steady on this event for the Tar Heels throughout her entire career. And it's comfortable in that anchor spot.
Yes, absolutely. We've talked about her line, just overall a switch leap, which is a really difficult combination. You're landing on the leg that you're taking off of, so there's a timing component to that as well, just that little wobble at the end.
Another triple flight series, handspring layout, layout.
So some really big combinations, which are giving her those bonus 10s, but you do need to make sure that you execute without any deductions.
Some good scores for Carolina on the beam. Nev King right now the lowest with a 9.725. That would be the score that they drop dependent on what Gwen finishes with.
Absolutely. So a nice back handspring, gainer full off the side. She takes that breath, kind of the sigh of relief. Probably not the routine that she wanted to do. Just some very, very minor wobbles. But you always want to put your best foot forward. So you see the triple series. She pulls it up really well to cover up too much of a wobble there.
Overall, good routine for Gwen, and a sigh of relief. They all stayed on the beam, so.
Absolutely, and that's the nice spot where you can be in, where you can choose which score to drop versus somebody falling where you have to drop that score.
And over to the floor in the anchor spot for the Panthers, Mackenzie Clark. She has a big routine, some big tumbling. You are gonna see here last week a 9.8 for Mackenzie.
Absolutely, and the dance is so much fun as well. She is a performer. So opening tumbling pass, a really big double pike, just a little bit of chest down on the landing. Love the facial expressions, really getting into the routine. Almost using her teammates on this side to give her some extra energy.
Another freshman in the ACC that has adapted really well to college gymnastics just in a couple weeks. Put up some good scores for Pitt and clearly important in their lineup in that anchor spot. Again, we talked about it. It's not easy to finish out and close out an event.
Ooh, definitely unfortunate. Just didn't quite have the bounce on that 1.5 to the front layout. There is a timing component, and even though the floor is very bouncy, you've got to make sure that your body's in the right position. Just didn't quite have that. But again, 6 up, only 5 scores count on these teams, so this can definitely be the score that Pitt drops.
With the fall, that will likely be the score that they drop. We'll take a look back at both of her tumbling passes. The opening pass, double pike here, a little bit chest down on the landing, but recovered pretty well.
She did. She pops right back up, and here you see the 1.5. You could tell just right in between, her knees almost bent a little bit too much, almost buckled, and didn't quite have enough rotation to make that front layout around.
Back to beam for an exhibition for Carolina. Cameron Rueda for the Tar Heels. Again, this exhibition, just a good chance to get out there on the competition floor. How important is that for these athletes?
It is extremely important. You never know what's going to happen throughout the season and when your name is going to be called up to be put in the lineup. And so this just really gives them a lot of experience. It's the same meet to these gymnasts. It doesn't matter which spot they're in. They are treating it the exact same. And so it can really help to calm some of those nerves, assuming she gets put in at any time throughout the season.
Coach Durante told us on the call today, that's why everyone warms up for these events, is just in case of a last-minute change. It's so important, and getting to do these exhibitions is a good way to get some experience out there.
Absolutely. We saw that on vault with the swap between Nev King and Gwen Fink. So far, a good routine, just a little bit of a wobble on that full turn. And that full turn, it is the pesky full turn. Nobody likes it, but it has to be done. A nice round off double full, just a hop on the landing. Overall, a good routine, a hit routine, which is something that everyone is, that's the goal. You just want to hit.
You'll see for Carolina, they will drop the 9.725. Overall, a great rotation, though, for the Tar Heels on beam.
Yeah, a lot of scores, most of those scores in the 9.8s and above. Really confident, really strong. One thing that, again, Coach Durante talked about was, I just want them to do what they do in practice. And this team looks like they're having fun, they're relaxed, and they're calm overall.
And they are heading into one of their best events, floor, coming up in the final rotation. First, we will get to the exhibition for Pitt. Mackenzie Clark did have an 8.95. That will be the score that they drop after that fall.
But again, both teams looking at depth overall, so a great opportunity for these gymnasts. So nice double pike to open, chest up on the landing. Back-to-back tumbling runs. Front layout full into a front pike, so great combination. Again, they have to have that double salto pass. And we're seeing a lot more college routines with just 2 passes, being very creative on how they're getting some of those bonus combinations, but it's a little easier on their bodies as well.
That difficulty so early in the season. Usually you see some teams kind of build up to the E-level passes. Some of them are already doing them, and only it's week 3.
I think with some of the changes to the national qualifying score, they've got to come out and be ready. You can't build anymore. So double tuck at the end, ends up, again, a little bit short on rotation, has to put those hands down. That's one of those things where in prior seasons, you would see that because they've got to build up that endurance. But again, great opportunity in the exhibition spot, knows what they've got to go back and work on, and they'll get it.
North Carolina in the lead, up by about 0.8 of a point. What does Pitt need to focus on in the beam rotation to get back into this meet a little bit?
I think they just need to come out and really just do what they do in practice, focus on one step at a time and not focus on, I need to hit this routine. They've got to work on the process to be able to get there.
We will be back for the final rotation here in Carmichael Arena. Has to say about how they're building the program here in Chapel Hill.
Being a part of Carolina Gymnastics has just been an absolute joy and just absolutely a great opportunity to continue to learn, to continue to grow.
We are building a top-tier program in the country that thrives both academically and athletically.
Our goal and our mission, our vision, if you will, is to build the athletic success in the gymnastics program that parallels the academic success the program has long been known for. So how do we do that? Gosh, there's so many important pieces to it, and I often laugh when I hear people say, oh, they're just so good all of a sudden. Why is this happening? Nothing is all of a sudden.
It's a lot of hard work to get where we want to go. We have a lot of big goals that we want to achieve still. So just working hard every day, finding joy in every moment, even the hard ones, but especially the fun times, and just doing it all together.
When we return inside of Carmichael Arena, we will head to rotation for Sydney Seabrooks, the star freshman for North Carolina, coming up.
Wow. Sydney, the freshman, great ending floor routine.
As a freshman, she came in and let her personality strengthen this team, and her confidence kind of ooze out into everybody else.
Push me to it, no sweat, no sweat, push me to it, no sweat, no sweat, it's in the recipe, yeah. When I'm done, I'ma do it over again. Push me to it, no sweat, no sweat.
Lead heading into the final rotation. We'll take a look back at some highlights from the last rotation, though. Sydney Seabrooks started off beam in a big way.
Absolutely gorgeous back handspring layout step out. Nails this 1.5 dismount. That's exactly why she's in the leadoff spot. Even as a freshman, the team has so much confidence in her to go out and hit that every time.
And then Mika Lee for Pitt, a 9.825, their highest score of that rotation.
Absolutely, a gorgeous double full in that front, that leadoff spot, and then the ending with the whip half to the Rudy dancing off because she knows that was a good one.
And here we go, the fourth and final rotation. Carolina on the floor. Pitt will have to end on beam. And this is going to be a fun one. We've already talked a lot about Sydney Seabrooks. She'll be later on in that anchor spot, but a lot of good and big tumbling for Carolina in this rotation.
Absolutely. They are so much fun to watch overall. Super excited to see them. And they're just giving each other a little bit of a pep talk. I don't know that they need that on this event.
I don't know either. A great crowd here in Carmichael tonight. Of course, everyone kind of gets into it on the floor. And for Pitt, ending on the beam, it's not the easiest event always to end on. Mika Lee will lead them off.
It's something that you know going into a dual meet that the away team has to end on balance beam. So a lot of these teams actually practice that in their practice facility where they're given a lot of these pressure situations. But some really fun stuff coming up on beam for this Pitt team.
And she's a pro on this event, so consistent. Last week, a 9.725, but she's capable of even higher, career high of 9.85 on this event.
Yeah, she is just so much fun to watch. Again, gorgeous lines, really unique gymnastics overall. Her tumbling, her flight series coming up, a back handspring layout, step out. Oh, able to hold on. Again, just a big wobble there, a couple attempts at deduction, but does not come off of the beam. Cat leap into that switch side. You really want this leadoff spot to just kind of set the pace. So as long as she stays on, a nice front toss into a beat jump.
Especially on beam, with dropping the one score, the leadoff spot is so crucial.
It is. All she's got left is her dismount. She's going to do a round off 1.5 and just takes the tiniest of steps on the landing. So outside of that acro series, overall, a very good job.
We'll take another look at that series here. Looks good, but barely hangs on there.
Just doesn't pull up at the end. Her shoulders drop, and when that happens, you can twist any number of directions.
And to start Carolina off on the floor, Ellie King, the junior from Texas.
Ellie had a little bit of a stumble last week in this leadoff spot. She stepped out of bounds. So I know she's looking to come out and prove herself, but again, she's so consistent in this spot. Last week was just kind of a fluke, had a little bit too much power. So nice front through into a double tack. Great landing on that one.
Much like Pitt, Carolina has quite a bit of diversity in their floor choreography and just the routines as a whole. So it'll be fun to see all of their personalities kind of shine through on this event.
It's a nice switch swing into a switch half ring, which is a really hard, really unique combination. So good. You see all the coaches and teammates cheering for her in the background. This is where she stepped out, had too much, but she was able to really figure out where she was at in the air on her double pike at the end tonight.
Overall, good routine for Ellie. We'll take a look back at both of those tumbling passes, the open front through to the double tuck, and you see great landing there in that opening pass.
Absolutely, chest up on the landing. She had that 2 salto pass and then pulls her chest up right there. Again, last week just held on a little too long and had to run out of bounds, so a great follow-up routine for King on the floor.
Last week she had a 9.525 on floor, so likely a better score coming for her this week. Back over to the beam for Pitt, Cameron Chu. We talked a little bit about her earlier, and we saw her on bars, but one of their most consistent competitors, and that's critical on an event like beam.
Absolutely, and again, we've talked about her artistry overall. That's one of the categories judges can take deductions on beam and floor, and so it's just so much fun to watch. She didn't compete on beam a ton last year, but again, has really trusted in herself and really been owning her gymnastics according to her coaches, so she's been in that lineup. Nice split jump into a ring jump. Those ring jumps are so tricky because your vision, your eyesight, you have to tilt your head back and it comes off the beam. And most of the gymnasts use the end of the beam as a place to look so that they can stay square, so they can stay straight. Just the dismount, a round off into a 1.5, just a small hop on the landing, but overall a fantastic routine.
Here's another look at that acro series. Back handspring, layout step out.
Pulls straight up, no wobbles, no execution errors on that one.
Really clean routine for Cameron. You see Mika Lee's score did come in at 9.625. They'll want to keep building off of that. And for Carolina, back on the floor, Gwen Fink. We've seen her in the all-around other competitions. She didn't compete on vault this meet, but she has a great floor routine coming up.
She really does. Again, so much fun to watch overall. She's been one that has been really impressive from her freshman year through her senior year.
That's one thing her head coach told us earlier. She really wants to see them continue to progress in their 4 years with the program. And it's exciting to her to see the seniors still getting better and better week by week.
Absolutely. So she's got her opening tumbling pass. Another front through to a double tuck. Absolutely huge. Stays in bounds. I will call out, in gymnastics, the line is still inbound. So you will see some gymnasts even start with their heels on the line in the corners for their tumbling pass. It's not like other sports where the line is out of bounds. Nice 2.5. Gets that all the way around. A lot of times you'll see him finish a little bit short and kind of step sideways to make sure that they get it around, but she lands perfectly in that diagonal. Great leap combination. Such elegance overall. Just absolutely gorgeous.
Great routine for Gwen. We'll take a look back at both of those passes. Again, you said the landing, she hit them both.
She did. She knew right where she was at. That's a veteran, where you know how big of a lunge you can take in order to make sure that you stay in bounds. And again, she gets that 2.5 all the way around and steps perfectly forward. Again, one of those little details that the judges are looking for.
The 9.8 for her teammate, Ellie King. That is her career high, so a great way to start off the floor lineup for the Tar Heels. As we move back over to beam for the Panthers, Layla Bobek now competing. Last week, a 9.8 for her on this event.
Yeah, she is pretty solid, and she's actually going to start with a really unique acro series right here. A layout, step out, layout, step out. Normally you see that handspring into it. A standing layout, step out is so difficult, and she does it with ease.
Another variation of the full turn there, yes. The wolf turn, not much easier, but.
Definitely not much easier, but it has become much more popular in the last probably 4 to 6 years. A lot of the Olympians started putting that in. And it trickles down into the developmental program. But they still have to do a full turn. Just the dismount, a back handspring, gainer layout full off the side into a stuck landing. So a phenomenal job out of Layla. Take another look at that series, that standing layout, step out, step out. Pulls it back on the beam. She was a little bit off, but not much of a wobble on that one.
Her coach told us on the call how excited she was about that series because it is so difficult and it is so unique to do the standing layout. Hannah Aoki now for the Tar Heels on floor. She competed on this event last week as well with a 9.775 for the Tar Heels in her freshman season here at Carolina.
You see the scores already starting to build, so she's going to try to continue that momentum. First tumbling pass, another front through to a double tuck. So far, each Carolina gymnast has done that as their 2 salto pass. So again, a tumbling pass that has 2 flips in it with no hands. A switch side half straddle jump for her leap combination. Choreography, knows right where the cameras are. And a front layout, front full to end the routine.
Another great performer for Carolina, really getting the crowd into it. You see her teammates there on the sideline clapping along with her.
So much fun and a fantastic job for Hannah Okoye.
We'll take a look here at that first tumbling pass. Again, another front through to the double tuck.
Just a small hop on the landing. Again, you can take the lunge, she took the hop. Either way, you are able to work out of that.
Back over to beam for the Panthers, Julie Matzo. A 9.7 last week on this event.
This Pitt team has a lot of kind of unique things in their beam routine. And one thing that I love is you can pick skills that really fit the gymnast and that they do well. So back handspring layout step out for the acro series. Again, one of the more common ones, but she executes it really well. But right here, a switch half. Oh, she was supposed to connect that into this back handspring swing down. So she's not going to get that connection because she did break that. She had that wobble in between, which could mean that her start value is either not from a 10.0 or she may have another spot in the routine where she can build on maybe a different combination that she doesn't do to add on some of those bonus tenths. So beat jump into a ring jump. Outside of that one wobble, not too bad. And she does a gainer tuck full off the end, just a small step on the landing.
Overall, good routine. We did see the missed connection there.
Yep, so she's supposed to connect this switch half. You see her foot come off, just wobble into this back handspring swing down. So I'm curious how that's going to play with the start value overall. It might not be from a 10.0, but again, it can be the score that they ultimately drop.
Jessica Naranjo now on the floor for the Tar Heels. She has some fun choreography in
She
this
really
routine.
does. And these gymnasts, they become more and more performers every year, and I love watching, even from the TV, you can tell just how much fun they're having. A huge double pike to open her tumbling passes.
Like you said earlier, the score is building for Carolina. Hannah Aoki a 9.825, same score as Gwen Fink. A great start so far for this North Carolina team and hoping to keep that momentum going.
front full into an immediate punch front. So a 3 salto pass, which they don't have to do, but it does get some extra bonus tens. Nice leap combination. You can see her kind of taking some big breaths throughout. I will say, the floor routines never get easier. No matter how much you practice them, you're always finding ways that you can improve and make it even more perfect, which takes all of your energy.
We'll take another look at that first pass. A nearly perfect landing here.
Huge double pike, knows exactly where she's at, takes the lunge, and executes the finish so well.
That's going to be a big score on floor for Carolina. You see Casey Jo McPherson just giving her some little pep talk before the beam. What do you think she's saying there in that moment?
I think telling her just to do exactly what she does in practice. This is what they do. Don't do anything more. Don't do anything less. This is you, and this is you. Your body knows what it needs to do. But you see her standing way far away from the beam. That's because she actually mounts with a round-off back handspring, which is so unique. I don't know that I know of anyone else doing that in collegiate gymnastics.
She told us that not something you see very often. Very difficult way to just mount the beam. It's hard enough to go through the whole routine, but then you're doing this as your mount just to get up there.
Absolutely, and unfortunately, because of the discrepancy on the last routine, we've got a judges conference, which I kind of equate to like icing the kicker. So she's ready to go, mentally she's ready, and then now she's got to wait. So, you know, again, just kind of talking, she's walking around, but you see the judges, they've got to come to an agreement on what this score should be.
In the previous routine, we saw that missed connection. That's likely my guess at what they're talking about, trying to get on the same page with the start value and then averaging the 2 scores.
Exactly.
But so yes, there's nothing worse than standing there and waiting to compete.
No, when you're ready, and you want them to just raise that green flag so you can salute and go and kind of get in the right mindset. And so it looks like they're ready at this point. They've just got to get the score flashed, and then the lead judge.
It looks like they're trying to get on the same page.
All right, so I think we are ready. The judge is resetting. We are ready to go. We see a smile. The gymnast is ready. Just waiting on the judge.
And there's the salute. We'll get this routine underway.
All right, so here's that round off back handspring mount. So round up onto the springboard. And she does that so flawlessly. I was really nervous that just because of the time in between that it was going to get to her mentally, but a phenomenal job on that round up back handspring. And an aerial back handspring as her acro series. Again, another unique one. A little tiny wobble at the end, but holds on. Double wolf turn. She did that really well. So far, so good. A switch leap into a split jump for her leap combination. So she should just have her dismount left. She's going to do a round off into a 1.5 and sticks the landing. So what a routine after having to wait in between.
We will take another look at that mount, the round off back handspring, and she nailed it.
So it is so hard to be perfectly straight. Again, you mentioned it is only 4 inches wide, so you're turning your body around, jumping onto the beam backwards. There you saw on that acro series, that little wobble at the end, but she really pulls it back up, and she's celebrating. I would be too.
A great celebration there at the end. Kaya Forbes on the floor for the Tar Heels. She's always exciting to watch on this event, and she's been a key piece of the floor lineup her entire time here at UNC.
She really has, and this is one similar to Gwen Fink that she has come out of her shell from her initial debut as a freshman. She really performs. That huge full in knows exactly where she's at.
She has such big tumbling, but she has such great awareness on the floor, something we talked about a little bit earlier.
So nice front layout into a front full.
Let's go!
You can tell she's just so comfortable in her own element. Again, a 3 tumbling pass, ends with that double tuck. Just the smallest of hops on the landing, almost stuck that cold. That actually gives you, ending with a double tuck dismount, gives you an extra 10th of bonus. And a kiss blown to the teammates.
That's going to be a big score for Carolina. There's that first pass, the full in, flying high. And then another look at the last pass, the double tuck. Like you said, she almost sticks it right there. Small, just bringing the feet together. And then a kiss to finish it off.
So that will be, like you said, a huge score for Carolina. They just keep building, already going in. Sydney really just needs to perform.
Which I have a feeling that won't be a problem.
Not an issue for her. Definitely not an issue.
Last beam routine for the Panthers is Hallie Copperwheat, the senior. She's been in this anchor spot her entire career at Pitt, so nothing new here for her. She just needs to go out there, have a clean routine for the Panthers.
Absolutely, a fun back handspring into that candlestick to mount the beam. But yeah, so solid, so confident. A nice switch leap into a split jump. Perfect 180-degree splits. That's definitely something that judges are looking for. Almost over 180 degrees. Nice side summy. Really solid on that back handspring layout step out. Again, looked maybe a little bit off, but veteran move. She just pulled a straight upright, no balance errors. All she's got left is the dismount. So round up double full, just that step across at the end, almost kept twisting to an extent, but overall that was a fantastic routine from Hallie in the anchor spot. Nice side summy. And then her dismount right here, this double full. You see just that little step forward and across, but overall a well done routine.
A well done routine, a good night for Hallie. And here we go, we've been waiting for it all night. Sydney Seabrook's #1 in the nation on this event. Back-to-back 995s.
This one is just, it's one of those routines that you just want to sit and watch the whole thing. I'm just always amazed. This is her 3rd competition, and she just, you would think that she's been out here for 4 years.
You would never know she's a freshman. Here she goes, first tumbling pass.
Really big double pike, almost just opens a little bit too early, was going for that stick, kind of that perfect landing.
And Dana Durante told us they've been wanting to get her into the all-around. This was her first all-around competition tonight.
So nice switch side into a straddle jump full or a popa. She uses up the whole floor. She uses her facial expressions to help with the dance. A nice 1.5 into a front layout.
Such a great performer, a great routine for Sydney. The crowd loving it here in Carmichael. Here's that first pass again.
Yeah, you'll see she opens a little too much, just lands a little short, maybe a 10th off on that one. But this last tumbling pass executed so well, that 1.5 into the front layout, dances out of it. So a fantastic job. I don't know if it'll be another 995, but it's still going to be a really strong score.
Here we have another exhibition for Pitt. Again, this score won't count, so they will drop the 9.625 from their leadoff, Mika Lee.
Absolutely. This is Raina Garvey. She's been battling some things, but she's got lots of experience and really excited to just kind of get back in the lineup, get back out there and start performing.
And the exhibition's a great way to do that.
So back handspring layout, step out a little bit off. You see those shoulders drop, ends up turning sideways, but stays on the beam. So maybe a 2 or a 3/10 deduction instead of the 5/10 fall. A switch leap for her combination. She does that beat jump into a ring jump, I believe. Her head didn't go back too far. Just the dismount here, a gainer pike off the end, and just the smallest of a foot movement right there at the end of it. But overall, a great exhibition routine for the Pitt Panther team.
A great opportunity for her. She's super excited out there. And Sydney Seabrooks is our all-around winner, her first all-around competition as a collegiate gymnast, and she had a great meet tonight.
Absolutely. You saw, Jared, just the landing on vault that we have talked about time and time again. She had a really strong, very clean bar routine. Beam just nails that landing, no deductions, and then this last tumbling pass was executed so well, legs together, definitely well-deserved.
Just the third meet of her career. Again, she is our all-around champion. A great night for Sydney. We are in our last exhibition, Cameron Rueda. She also was the exhibition on beam, so getting her some reps out there on the competition floor and another really fun routine for the Tar Heels.
Yeah, again, these exhibition spots are so critical just to continue to build being out in front of the judges, being out in the spotlight, in front of the fans. So far, really clean gymnastics. A nice 1.5 into a front layout.
You see the score for Sydney Seabrooks, the 9.85 to close it out for Carolina tonight. And that will wrap up our competition. Carolina with the win tonight, a 196.525, inching closer and closer to that 197 this season.
Absolutely. Carolina, I thought, put on a fantastic performance. I think they're going to go back and continue to work on those landings. That's going to be the biggest thing that's going to make a huge difference overall. But they really looked calm and confident, and I know Coach Durante is going to be really proud of their performance overall.
A big win for the Tar Heels, a great atmosphere here in Carmichael Arena. That will do it from Chapel Hill, from Rachel Garland and our entire crew. I'm Olivia Mundorf. Thanks for joining us, and good night from Chapel Hill.